Welcome to our movie deep dive episode of Nobody Asked Our Opinion podcast. I am JJ.
And I'm Joanna.
And this is our episode of the podcast where we take a deep dive into a movie franchise. And we're going to start off our discussion with the Spider-Man movies. And this is not just the Marvel Cinematic Universe movies. We are also deep diving into the Sony movies, including Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man, as well as
Tobey Maguire.
As well as Tobey Maguire. Yeah, we already said Marvel Cinematic Universe. I can do this.
I believe in you.
Yay! And so we will start today's episode diving deep into Sam Raimi's 2002 Spider-Man, starring Tobey Maguire, Kirsten Dunst, Willem Dafoe. There's literally all the people. There were so many, I forget how many,
random people are in this movie.
Random people in this movie. What's his face? Franco. James Franco is also in it. He plays the son, Harry Osborn. Harry? Yes.
Yeah,
no.
Harry Osborn.
Harry Osborn.
His father is Norman.
Norman, that's right.
That's Willem Dafoe. So let's jump right in. My biggest note for this movie is that Willem Dafoe's acting is on a completely different level than everybody else in this movie.
I was like, Willem Dafoe is such a good villain.
He's on a completely different level than everybody else in this movie, because everybody else is like, I'm doing a Spider-Man movie, meh, Kristen Dunst is Kristen Dunst. She's an okay actress. She's not, I'm not here to dog on her. I think she's fine. Tobey Maguire is fine. Everyone else is fine. And then you have Willem Dafoe, who's like, this is a stupid Spider-Man movie, but I'm going to give you Oscar-worthy performance because I can.
Because I can.
And, literally the scene where he's talking to himself as the Green Goblin and
Are you talking about in the mirror?
Yeah, in the mirror.
Oof.
That was brilliant.
Absolutely brilliant.
And
it's edited very well, too, because you can, with the jump cuts between the two personalities, but, the way that he can, physically embody...
Well, and there wasn't as many jump cuts as you think there are. There would be, to, edit that scene out. It was literally him in front of a mirror doing both characters. Because at first I was like, oh, I bet they just had him do it and his mirror is going to be slightly different. But I'm like, oh, no. He's really making those shapes in that mirror. He's really just going, full...
I think there is, maybe one jump cut where it's, his face is completely contorted as the Goblin and then comes back to him as being Norman. But most of it is just, him in front of the mirror just being a badass actor.
Yeah, no, Willem Dafoe is by far the best thing about this movie.
Oh, absolutely.
By far the best thing about it. Even when he's being ridiculous, you're like, I still 100% believe this.
Yeah.
And the fact that they kill his character off at the end, I was like, I understand why they did it, but I'm still mad about it. Because you could have kept Willem Dafoe into this franchise for, a while, and it probably wouldn't have pittered out and died as quickly as it did.
I mean, fair.
But that's neither here nor there.
Do you want to just, start from the top? And just kind of go through,
We can. My notes make no sense because my notes I took after I was done watching the movie.
I was a good student and took notes while I was watching the movie.
Go ahead.
I did. Because my first note is, I think it's hilarious in movies about teenagers when they cast teenagers because they're all obviously in their 20s or early 20s, mid 30s.
Oh, and then the guy who played Flash was 35.
Yeah, he's an adult.
He was 35, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, you're a teenager.
Yeah, I'm supposed to believe that this guy is the same age as the fucking Tobey Maguire's character. No, he's literally his dad.
Yeah, no, he was clearly at least 10 years older than him, and I was just like, oh, it's even creepier that you're trying to hit on MJ right now because you're creepy older than her right now, and it's not okay.
And I love it when they do that because it's this was very much a thing during the early 2000s. It would be all the teen dramas were all casted with mid-30s actors trying to play 17-year-olds.
Still happening. Look at Riverdale.
I don't look at Riverdale.
Oh, no. I mean, look at, the Riverdale, poster. I haven't watched an episode.
I can name 0 actors on Riverdale.
One of the Sprouse brothers is on there.
Who's the Sprouse brother?
From the Disney Channel show, The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody. And then he was the little kid in Big Daddy.
Yeah.
He wasn't Big Daddy. He was Big Daddy's kid.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Because otherwise that's creepy.
But yeah, I just love the fact that all like actors playing like I'm a teenager and I'm clearly like hiding this 5 o'clock shadow under this makeup.
Yes. I want to point out that Harry Osborn is not Peter Parker's friend. He does not have any chemistry with Peter Parker, and constantly, like, even immediately says to him, "Hey, are you gonna talk to her?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know."
Oh yeah, maybe. Like in the museum.
In the museum, and then goes, "Okay," and then walks over, and then steals his line, like. What? Mm-hmm. Like, you are not this kid's friend. Stop trying to force feed this plot line. Like, you did not write this for them to be friends. But yet we're supposed to believe, like, later he's like, "Peter, you're the only family I have left." I was like, no! Peter is not your family because you treat him like garbage.
I think I put here Harry is a dick, but for a different reason. I think it was a dick because of, like, something with MJ.
Oh, because he, allows his dad to, like, dog walk her.
Oh, yeah. And, like, barely lifts a finger to be like, "No, she's okay."
Yeah, I mean, he starts, he's like, "Hey, you can't talk about her that way." And then he, like, it keeps laying, and he's like,
"Okay."
No, that's fair, I guess.
Yeah.
Fuck, man.
And I love the fact that, like, right from the get-go, they established, like, Willem Dafoe's character as, like, de facto Peter Parker's dad. Like,
oh yeah, like immediately.
Even
before Ben even dies.
Yeah, before his actual like parental guardian like kicks the bucket. He's like, "Hi, I'm gonna be your dad.
Yeah, I am your father now.
I'm your father now." So you like science? I like science. Look at that. We got all this related.
You're the child I never had.
And it's
Harry's like, "But I'm your son." He's like, "Shut up. I'm talking to my new son, Peter."
Like, literally. Like, he's just standing there just like, what the fuck, Dad? I'm right here.
And then let's talk about Peter gets bit by the spider. MJ treats him like not like a real person, which also, she's been your neighbor since you were 6. MJ is low-key garbage.
I mean, the trashy apple doesn't fall from the trashy tree.
I mean, I guess, but Peter gets bit by the spider, and he comes home, and then, can we talk about the size of the spider lump on his hand when he passes out? Like, I'm sorry, like, why are you not telling your adult figures? You're like,
it's like, there's nothing wrong!
You're like maybe 17, it's your senior year of high school, like, I mean, I'm all for, like, independence, but when I was 17, if I had a spider bite or a bug bite on my hand the size of a softball, I would have been like, I need to go to a hospital.
I mean, what's wrong?
Medical attention, please.
No, he's like, I'm going to go to sleep.
Yeah, I'm going to go take a nap.
I'm going to sleep this off. No big deal.
And then wakes up and has abs, which I'm, like, not mad about. But then...
Do they, right before he passes out, do they do, like, that CGI thing they did with Chris Evans, where they made him, like, scrawnier?
I don't know if that was... Like,
was
I
that
don't
even
know
possible?
I don't think the CG was that good then, because I have a note about the CG in this in these movies, but I don't think the CG would have been that good. They may have just filmed that part like really early, and then because he worked out for like 5 months to get like Spider-Man body, and maybe they came back and did it. I'm not sure, but
it looked like pre-Captain America Steve Rogers. Like, that was...
Okay, the transformation wasn't that big, though.
I'm not saying the transformation was that big, but he was giving me pre-Captain America Steve Rogers.
Look at my doughy, soft, teenager body. Oh, now I'm a man.
Yeah, it was, like, very, like, scrawny, like, no muscle tone whatsoever, and it's, like, super, like... lanky, and then all of a sudden he's like, "Oh, I've got pecs."
I love that he touches them. To directly compare to Captain America, like Peggy Carter touches his pecs. He's like, "Oh, I have man boobs now."
I mean, to be fair, if I was Peggy Carter, I'd also be like,
If you were you would.
If I was me and I was standing in front of Chris Evans, I'd be like, by the way, who has a ton of tattoos underneath all of that clothing, and I'm like, all for this.
Yes.
Yes.
Did you catch the like random like dick joke in that whole like?
Oh, the fact that he was like, everything's what did he say?
Because Aunt May goes like, are like is.
Something about
like
changes.
you sound different, or it's like did anything change? It's like a big
change. I'm like, oh, that's a dick joke.
I was like, does getting bit by a radioactive spider make you swole? Like you have
that dong.
You get that like what like spider dick? I don't even know what that means.
Oh. I didn't even think of that. I just thinking like, oh, I left with my pumped up body, I got pumped up dick.
No, I know, but now I'm like,
yeah. What if he does have like a spider dick? Ugh.
Like, but like, what is?
I remember hearing like discussions of like, if Superman were to have sex with you, would you like straight up die because like the muscles when he contracts when he orgasms must like.
You have very little control of your body when you orgasm.
Exactly, and he's got like superhuman strength, so his muscles must like.
Either that or Lois Lane has like the vagina of like
a steel.
Yeah. I don't know. All I'm thinking now though is spider dick does whatever spider dick does.
Apparently, it gives people cancer. Gives people cancer and kills them.
Oh. Well, this took a dark turn.
But I was like, that's a very 2000s thing to be like, oh, look, I got a big dick now.
Yeah.
Woo, woo.
Yeah, no, this movie is so 2000s.
It's so 2000s.
Let's see what else
So then what happens, so then he does like a wall jump down the stairs, and then his Aunt May and Uncle Ben are like, ooh, you're like, I thought you were sick last night. Now you're like all spiffy. He's like, oh, yeah, just rested.
Doing well. Yeah, still misses the bus.
Still fucking misses the bus, and contemplates like talking to Mary Jane, and pines for her, and continues to pine for her. And I do have to say, like, one of the things I did enjoy about this movie is the amount of like setting up for the second half.
Oh yeah, no, this
sets really well the stage for the second half.
It was very well paced.
Very well paced, incredibly well. Like you actually felt Ben's death. Spoiler: yes. Uncle Ben dies.
If anybody is not aware that Uncle Ben dies in Spider-Man, then I want to know which rock you're living under. It's probably next to JJ's.
It's probably next to mine. We are neighbors.
But regardless. No, I do agree that these characters and that you really grow to like you care about Aunt May. And when she shows up, you are just delighted when Aunt May is there. You're like, oh, look at Aunt May taking care of all of the people. Like, it's very much reminiscent of me, like my family with like my mom. You know, you come to dinner, you're family now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. She's like, I don't care. You are now mine, and I will take care of you.
Yeah. Do you need a parental figure in your life? I'm here. So I think that...
And so is Willem Dafoe.
Just like Willem Dafoe.
Just like Willem Dafoe.
Aunt May and my mother will be there for you.
So then now he's like super spidered out, and he goes to school, and like he accidentally like jizzes out some web, and like tries to like retract it and like really secret. Although in a fucking crowded ass cafeteria, nobody saw that. Nobody saw that. Even the people at the table where he spunked on.
No, but they are aware that he somehow has like they don't know that it's like web, but they know that it's attached to him because they all laugh when like the thing gets stuck in the door. And then obviously the guy's like, this kid has something to do with it because it's like he has a string that it's holding to, so I'm gonna beat the crap out of him later. But I want to say the part where he catches MJ and he like does the
catches all the things.
That was a practical effect.
Oh really?
It was a practical effect that was not done with CG. They like had like super sticky everything, and so he had to do it like 600 times. But they eventually got a clean take of him catching all of the things because they were sticky and they stuck to the thing.
Ah, and to each other, I'm assuming too.
Yeah, everything was sticky.
It's all sticky.
It's all they doused it in the sticky stuff.
Good for them. That's impressive.
Yeah.
That's got to be a fucked up day at work. It's like, Take 532.
I think I read somewhere that it took like 230 takes.
Oh my god.
But you know what? It was worth it.
No, that was really cool looking.
Because I did not need that to look like a computer game.
Just like 8-bit apples just falling
like
from the sky.
80% of this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, then he beats the crap out of Flash and everybody still treats him like shit.
They're like, ooh, you beat up the bad guy. What the fuck, bro? You were still a freak.
I'm like, why are you so weird? I'm like, who are these children? And where is this high school that people treat people like this? Like, I'm used to people treating people like garbage, but what the fuck is this school that you're like...
Even the bus driver was in on it.
Yeah, like, why did they just, like, wake up and take a vote and they're like...
Fuck Peter Parker.
You know what, Peter Parker, he doesn't have parents. He lives with his elderly aunt and uncle in, like, the cheap part of town. Let's treat him like... lower than trash.
But then treat MJ his neighbor
like
royalty.
Goddess. Yeah.
I literally put, where do they live?
I think it said it's New York.
But they said like, oh, to the city. So like, are they in the suburbs of New York?
Yeah, I think they're like on like you know, like a outskirt. Yeah, like I don't think they live in Manhattan. They live in like the Bronx or Brooklyn or something like that.
Is that enough?
Or Queens. At least according to the Marvel.
Yeah.
Marvel, he lives in Queens because Steve Rogers is from Brooklyn.
That's right.
Because he calls him Queens. So it's probably Queens. I stayed in Queens once. It looks close enough to that.
Is that enough to be like, I'm out of the city and be like...
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, it is definitely more like neighborhoody in Queens. Same thing with like Brooklyn. It looks a little bit more, you have more neighborhood pockets than you do just bullshit.
Like the skyscraper.
Yeah, it's not like big buildings and whatever. It's like that's where the people in New York live if you live like in New York City. Because
I always thought he lived like in the city. And when they were like, oh, when we graduate, I'm going to go to the city and be an actress. And I'm like, wait, you're not in the city? I mean,
she's like at most a 30-minute subway ride from the city. Like, it's not like it's like hours away. It's like a 30-minute subway ride. Or like, because like Ben drops him off and it wasn't that far. Like,
yeah, it didn't seem like that it was like a trek to drop him off at the library.
Yeah. And then, so let's see.
Oh, did you catch the super famous extra? There's an extra in the background of that fight scene in the school. He's got like orange hair and really poofy orange hair. He's in like every 90s and early 2000s, like in the back. He's like a famous extra?
He's like a famous
extra.
That's amazing. I did not catch
that. And
he
looks exactly the same. He's got glasses, big, bushy, like red hair, and it's always poofy. And he's always in like, I think he's like in Superbad, in like Varsity Blues. He's in all those like 90s movies.
We need to find this and we will
I'm sure there's a link.
We will post it on our Instagram.
Oh, a picture of the dude?
Oh, a picture of a dude or like a screen grab of like that scene. So you can be like, this guy. And then we'll have a picture of things. It's like the Where's Waldo of like 90s movies.
Yeah, he's in all like and I remember because I read an article about his like career as like an extra. Like, I guess he was like wildly successful as like a background extra.
All right, make a note. We will have our unpaid intern Natalia find that screen grab and post it on our Instagram.
Yes, our unpaid intern.
Unpaid intern Natalia, who runs all of our social media accounts. We will have her put that up because that is fascinating.
Yeah, and once you see it, you're like, oh my god, he is in every movie. I do like the iconic like fly up and tally ho.
Go Gadget.
I literally put go Gadget Web.
Yeah, no, I do appreciate that. Like, we do see like him learning how to deal with these powers as opposed to, I'm a fucking expert now because I got bit by a spider last night.
Yeah, all of a sudden I know, martial arts and have perfect control of all of my newly found powers.
Yes.
Like, we see him, like, smack into, like, a billboard.
Yeah, no, this is great. And then, let's see, Flash Flashing forward a little bit, we get to Peter wants to make money to buy a car so he can impress MJ. So he decides he's going to do underground wrestling.
Did you catch Macho Man Randy Savage?
Absolutely.
As Bonesaw?
I absolutely clocked that was Macho Man Randy Savage, and my 14-year-old me was like, fuck yeah!
I was like, I'm in the mood for a Slim Jim now. Step into a Slim Jim! Can we even say that? Is that copywritten?
I think we're fine.
We'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. We are not endorsed by Slim Jim yet, but we could be.
Slim Jim, hey y'all. Hey, what's up, girl?
We are now accepting sponsorships.
Right. And the announcer.
That was what's his name? Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, baby.
I was like,
of Evil Dead fame, yo.
It's Bruce Campbell.
Like so random. It's like so super random, like celebrities in this movie. I forget, like
for like a hot second.
But still.
But he's there.
He's there.
And I'm excited by it.
Did you catch Octavia Spencer?
I did catch Octavia Spencer. And that the J. Jonah Jameson's secretary.
Mm-hmm. That's Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah, Elizabeth Banks. And you're like, I almost didn't clock her with her brown hair.
Oh, that poor girl with that wig. That unfortunate
hard
bob.
front.
Oh my god. Not a lace in sight.
It's a hard front because that had a blunt bang.
That was a blunt bang. It was so blunt, Snoop Dogg wanted to smoke it.
Gross.
It's disgusting.
Anyway, so Peter wrestles Macho Man Randy Savage and wins, but he wins in 2 minutes instead of 3 minutes. So the promoter is like, you get $100 instead of $3,000 because that's how math works.
Because, fuck you, Peter Parker.
Right? I mean, you think he would have been like, we'll give you half of it because you didn't last the 3 minutes. And that would have been like, that's still kind of fucked up, but I could see, like, you wanted to get 3 minutes of entertainment out of me and I didn't get all of it. But $100, you're like, you know what? Go to hell, man. And then he immediately gets robbed because karma.
Karma and plot device.
And so as Peter Parker's leaving and he says, I don't see how that's my problem that he didn't get the money that he earned. And, but Peter needed the money to buy a car to impress a chick. And so he goes to leave.
Important things.
Important things in life. When you're 17, of course.
Of course.
And then in comes bank robber. Or, well, robber of underground wrestling. Takes all of his money, and Peter Parker says, you know what? Go ahead and leave.
Yeah, just, you know.
I could easily stop you, but I'm not going to, because that guy's a dick. And you know what? I've seen this movie before. I knew how it was going to end, but I still felt satisfied with him leaving, because I was like, yeah, you let that man
There
leave.
is that satisfaction. You're like, and then he says that same line to his face.
Yeah.
He's like, why didn't you stop him? He's like, I didn't see that was my problem. And you're like, hell yeah, Peter Parker, you stand up for yourself. And then you're like, oh no.
But then the robber immediately kills Ben off screen. And we see Peter...
Oh, we missed the famous line.
Oh, with great power comes great responsibility. Don't worry, we hear it 900 more times. 18,000
times in this. But, like... What always got me about that scene was like, this is the one moment that Peter Parker plays like a punk ass kid. Mm-hmm. He's like pretty level headed and pretty calm throughout the entire opening of that movie, but that moment where he's like, "You're not my real dad."
Which also, what happened to Peter's parents?
They never say.
I don't think in any of the films do they give any background. And to my knowledge, the cartoon series, I don't remember the Amazing Spider-Man cartoons ever saying what happened to Peter Parker's family. We just know he lives with his elderly aunt and uncle.
Yeah.
But...
Producer Johnny, do you know?
They go into it a bit in the Amazing Spider-Man franchise.
So, then we will discuss the Andrew Garfield bullshit reason of Peter Parker's backstory of his parents. Because, admittedly, I fell asleep during the first time I watched and only time so far that I've watched The Amazing Spider-Man. And I have not seen The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I've seen nothing of Andrew Garfield's So then Ben
and
dies.
as I say, Jonathan's sitting there laughing in the corner because he was there when I fell asleep during The Amazing Spider-Man.
He's like, you did.
I did. To be fair, we watched a far better movie first.
Ah.
I don't remember which one. Was that what we watched? Pitch Perfect?
Lego
Movie. Still better movie.
Oh, yeah, still better. Ben dies and he's like, I'm gonna seek revenge.
I'm gonna seek vengeance on this man that I just said wasn't my real dad anyway.
Right.
And so he goes off and he goes and seeks vengeance, and the man, he finds him, he beats him up and realizes that it was the man he let go and was like, well, Ben was right, I'm garbage. And then that man immediately falls out a window.
Trips and falls out the window.
And then we start to set up that, like, oh, because Peter's dressed up in his Spider-Man, wrestling outfit.
The human spider.
The human spider. And you could have gone down the road of, oh, is this Spider-Man a menace because this is who this is? But no, we're still going to let that be just bullshit that that J. Jonah Jameson makes up later. But we don't explore that at all, except for they're like, oh, we need to catch that man. He pushed that man out of a window. And then nothing comes from that. He goes home and tells Aunt May, and I'm sad because May's sad. Peter Parker graduates and then decides he's going to be a real Spider-Man.
Yeah, with a brand new suit.
Who sews this suit?
How the fuck? Where did he get this goddamn seamstress to get this costume made?
Because I need to know, how was this made? Because we've seen 0 examples of Peter Parker knowing how to, thread a needle based off of the outfit that he shows up with as the human spider, to then have a elastic-based or stretch-based fabric, which is not easy to work with, that is embroidered.
Yeah,
to have all of his lines, and embroidered so well, and then to fit so seamlessly that his face mask goes in and seamlessly connects into his the neckline of his outfit. That is not I
easy.
watched a YouTube video which probably didn't exist in proper terms in 2002.
No, YouTube started in 2005.
So there was no tutorial that was easy to get to how to sew, let alone that well, even if there was a tutorial of how to sew.
A 17-year kid would not have
and
been able to do that.
There's no way that he asked Aunt May to do it, because Aunt May could have made that outfit, but you know what? Aunt May probably didn't, because she would have asked questions.
Yeah, she would have been a little curious. What is this for, Peter?
Yeah. And then with the mesh over the eyes, what the fuck? Who made the costume?
And this is immediately after they graduate. So
and then where did he get the money to do this? He has no income.
No, I mean the income that he started getting was just the freelance photography, a couple $100 the one time.
Yeah. So he's making no money.
But that was after he had already made the costume and was Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Proper. So
yeah. These are the important questions, because I was like, how the fuck did he make this costume? How? I want to know.
Sam Raimi, call in.
Email us.
Email us at nobodyasked-our-opinion@gmail.com and tell us how the hell did Peter Parker get that costume.
If anybody has connections to Sam Raimi, tell him we have questions that we would like answered. We will gladly have him as a guest on the pod. Then let's see. Let's talk about...
I put yay Mr. Jameson because we get Mr. Jameson for the first time.
And J.K. Simmons is the other actor. So if Willem Dafoe is acting this at an 11, J.K. Simmons is at a 10.
Where when Willem Dafoe is giving us, classic acting chops. J.K. Simmons is giving us camp to the nth degree, but
perfectly well done. I'm so happy, and he's supposed to, and he when he popped up at that. I know we're not there yet, but when he popped up in the end credit scene for
oh my god, I shit myself. I was like, I'm so excited for this.
I was so happy. I was sitting next to you. We were so
we were both. We're
squeal galore, middle of a movie theater. It was great. J. Jonah Jameson back in action. I'm here for it. I love that later when he's dragging Spider-Man through the mud and tells Peter you're not really an employee. You don't have any opinions. Just bring me pictures. whatever. But then immediately gets attacked by the Green Goblin. He's like, who takes the pictures?
I don't know.
Peter's standing like right there, and he goes, I don't know. They just get slid under my door. Like, it's fine. Like, he protects his sources.
Oh yeah, as a true editor would, because if he somehow like caused harm to Peter, then who's going to take pictures of Spider-Man?
I mean, because there's that though, but I mean, also it was just nice to see. I was like, oh, look at your integrity there, like a little bit there. I mean, it's probably for selfish reasons, but it was there a little bit. I
also love the fact that he just like he like speaks so quickly you forget some of like outlandish things he says. He told somebody I'm going to send you a box of Christmas meat.
I think he says that to Peter as he's walking out.
Yeah, he'll send like I'm gonna
a box of Christmas meat. That's the best I can do. It's like
right.
on top of like the $300 I'm giving you.
I'm like, what is this? What is Christmas meat? What does that mean? What is Christmas meat?
It's a giant goose hanging in a window.
It could be like a moose and like leg for all I know.
Well, I was thinking giant
Like
goose hanging in a
reindeer
window,
leg.
like Christmas Carol. How much is that? Like, how big is that goose? The one that's as big as me? How much is it? I don't know. I'll have to go ask. We'll go get it, and we'll take it to Tiny Tim. That's what I think of when I think Christmas meat.
Christmas meat.
Either that, or it's like the summer sausages that you only eat at Christmas time.
Christmas sausage.
The Christmas sausage that you get with crackers that everybody gifts at like Christmas time. That's Christmas meat.
That's Christmas meat.
Oh,
It's meat in a can.
I'm looking at your notes and it just says ha 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 Macy Gray.
Because what?
Because that was the celebrity to get in this movie.
It's like, oh, we're gonna flex our celebrity, muscles and get Macy Gray. And the fact that like all the like I put like they still have a billboard up for Singular Wireless. I was like, that is an old-fashioned statement.
Yes.
Like, didn't
Yes.
Singular just like become
AT&T.
I was gonna say Sprint, but that's probably
no Singular, and it became AT&T, and then Sprint also became AT&T.
Oh, okay.
AT&T just is just
Nom nom
nom
nom.
nom 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 all the companies. But
And is this the first time we saw Stan Lee in this movie?
Yes.
When
That
he
was his
saving
cameo.
that
Yeah,
was
he
his
saved the
cameo,
little
right?
girl. He's like, I got you, and you're like, it's one of those like not as like obvious as like when he appears in the MCU,
Right.
Where they're like making a big deal out of like, look at this man. He's just like there. I
'Cause
mean,
it's like,
he pops up in like in all of like the Hulk movies, like even in the first Hulk movie that nobody talks about anymore.
You shall not be named.
The Hulk movie that shall not be named, but we.
I want to say he was like a military, like.
That's not the point of this podcast
No, it's
today.
not.
I'm okay with that's not. We're never
It's
discussing
just,
that.
that whole like festival scene was like so 2000s. I was like,
Oh yeah.
Between Macy Gray and the Singular Wireless, I was like, oh, this is old fashioned.
This was a time that I remember fondly of.
Time passed.
Let's see. Then we get Green
That's
Goblin.
when Green Goblin attacks and like vaporizes.
Oh yeah, I love the skeleton like effect. It was very like Doctor Who Monster of the Week moment. Like
Yeah.
it was just like, oh, this is terrible for
Oh,
like
yeah.
the amount of money that you spent on this budget.
Oh, yeah.
But that's fine.
Yeah, that's cool.
And then MJ proves once again that she's a terrible girlfriend because she immediately starts flirting with Spider-Man.
Absolutely. She's like, oh my god, yes.
So there's that. Well, and then also though, she wasn't all that into Harry to begin with because he tries to kiss her, and she
That's
like
true.
gives like immediately turns and gives cheek. I'm like, okay, if you're not that into him, why are you dating him? But again, this she's supposed to be like 20, so if that, like they're like 18. Like this is right after high school.
Yeah.
They're not
They're
old.
just dumb kids.
They're dumb kids. Will choose to ignore that. Let's see.
Like he saves her and then like doesn't he like meet up with her at like the diner that she's like
later
ashamed?
later, and then they make out upside down, which is not cute.
I hear that like I remember reading like he like almost died from drowning from that.
Oh yeah, no, like it was not a fun experience for him because of all the water, and just in general, like because you're watching and you're like, noses are not where they need to be for this to be cute.
But it's romantic.
Oh yeah, no, but again, 14-year-old Joanna was like, this is the best ever. 32-year-old Joanna's like,
this is dumb.
This is not how kissing works,
No.
friends.
So upside down kiss happens. What happens? What comes next?
Let's see. I'm looking at your notes. It says Spider-Man saves a baby.
That because like now, because I think this is after the Green Goblin has attacked J.J. Simmons.
J.J. Simmons.
J.J. Jameson.
J. Jonah Jameson. I love that you're like, I don't know,
I'm
like
gonna mix-
all together,
They're
like
all the same.
somewhere those letters and names makes a human. But yes, and then they start printing.
Printing like bad things about like, oh, Spider-Man's, is he really good? Blah blah blah.
I love that the cop shows up to, like, after he rescues a baby. The cop show up and is like, I need to place you under arrest. And then they hear this scream, and he's like, I'm gonna go rescue the person in here. He's like, well, when you come back, I'm gonna arrest you. He's like,
I'm not coming back.
You really want to arrest me right now?
And then promptly does The Matrix inside a burning building. Because ever since The Matrix, all the movies, all the action movies
have that
from that point
slow-mo,
have
like,
that slow-mo back-bending.
Okay, so the first one is the iconic where the two are coming and he like jumps sideways and he turns and is like, God, that's a cool shot. And then they decide to double down on it and do a immediately less cool shot where he like tries to do the splits but it doesn't quite look right. And he like just kind of jumps and like with his legs like he looks like he's on like a horse and like twists around. You're like, oh, that's immediately less cute.
Awkward.
And there's Peter. You're like,
that's
Spider-Man. And there's the Peter Parker side.
Yeah.
And then we see Willem Dafoe be a dick to MJ. And
At Thanksgiving.
And
Yep.
Harry doesn't stand up for her all that much.
And this is the moment that Willem Dafoe's character realizes that Peter Parker is Spider-Man because he notices the cut that he was got in while doing the Matrix in the burning building.
Yes, and then immediately tries to blow up Aunt May.
Absolutely. And have you seen all the memes of that moment where she's praying and then like blows up the house?
No, I have not seen the memes.
There were like a bunch of memes done from that moment where it's like the moment it's things like the moment when the bills hit my bank account or something like that, or like direct deposit hits my bank account. And it's like
fabulous. And I love that she's in the hospital. It is not necessarily because like her house exploded, but because she was just terrified.
She was like, oh no.
Because she's like, his eyes, the yellow eyes, and that's when Peter's like, fuck, he knows who I am.
Yeah. I also wrote down because she's saying like the goodnight prayer.
Yeah.
And like he interrupts her because he explodes her house, and then he goes, finish it, and she's like, deliver us from evil. I'm like, this is Camp Sam Raimi at its highest.
It was bananas.
It was like there's no reason why this moment had to happen, but it's Sam Raimi, and he's like, you're gonna just say this ridiculous line super melodramatically.
Yes.
In this moment.
Because
I want you to.
Yes. And then we get to go to my favorite scene in the movie, which is the bridge scene. Where, so they're there and he's like, oh, you gotta make a choice because I've stolen your girlfriend or this, the woman that you love. But I also have a train full of children. Who are you gonna pick? And so he, rescues both. And so he's dangling from there, holding on to both, and then he's like, crawl down there. And she's like, no, I can't. And he's like, I'm going to drop you in the harbor if you don't fucking crawl down this thing.
Bitch!
And then she gets like halfway down. I can't. You're like, you're already halfway down.
Just do it, bitch.
I get that it's difficult, and I probably wouldn't be able to do it physically either, but I'm gonna try.
Yeah.
Because holding there is going to be a lot harder than just
shimmying down.
Yeah, wrap your legs around and get that rug burn and just make it down. Because
I believe it's actually metal. I think it's metal.
Well, then metal burn.
With enough friction, that's going to leave that's going to slice you.
Sliced legs is better than dead.
Well, you could die from that if it slices you in half. If you're holding it like this and you're going to get bisected.
That's a lot of friction to slice you in half.
Well, if you're over here, like, if you're like...
Well, I mean, like, I'm talking about, like, holding on and then, like, with your legs wrapped around, and so your legs will take most of the friction.
Oh, I thought you were like, I'm gonna hug this metal rod and shimmy down it.
And shimmy down, slice off my tits.
And slice my chest open.
No, but so she's calming me down, and so this is all, like, not the great part. But then all of the New Yorkers are standing on the bridge,
That's
and they
why I love
start
it.
throwing shit at the Green Goblin, because they're like, hey, leave him alone. How dare you attack him? He's trying to save children. What kind of monster are you?
I wrote down the line, you mess with Spider-Man, you mess with New York. I'm like...
You know what? Snaps. Snaps for good writing. Because that's that. I think that, yeah, no, it was absolutely absurd, but it was one of my favorite scenes because it's just, it all culminated together really well, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. And it's a moment for Spider-Man to be like, I'm fully fledged superhero now. I can do all the things and, save the damsel in distress and save all the children.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to do it. And then you're like, oh shit, he's not going to do it.
You're like, oh no, maybe he's not going to do this.
Oh no, he's not going to do it. And then I do also appreciate that you have this moment of where you're like, because he saves her like a couple times at the last minute, and you're thinking that it's going to be that Gwen Stacy death where she's going to he's not going to quite get it and she's going to hit her head and die. You're like, are they going to do the Gwen Stacy death right now? And then they don't. And then, because that's the next movie. I like the fake out of like, oh my god, are they?
They're just gonna kill off Mary Jane.
Are they just gonna kill MJ? That's not the bitch that dies. So I appreciate that. Yeah, and then they have
their like final
fight
scene, and like he tries to fake him out by like trying to appeal to his like being I'm your father. I was like, I was there for you.
Willem Dafoe's the best actor in this movie.
Absolutely.
And
absolutely.
Then, like every minute up until like the moment he dies, but yeah, he goes, I'll be your dad. He goes, I had a father, Ben Parker.
And then you're just like, oh my god, yeah.
And then he his spider senses go off and he jumps off, and then the
glider thing like impales homeboy,
impels him, and and he just goes, oh. And you're like, really? That's your big death scene? Oh. I was like, I was rooting for you, Willem Dafoe. I was
rooting for you.
I hate us. Why do we have a platform? We shouldn't.
Who decided this?
Oh, that was me. You can all blame me for this. But then, yeah, so then Peter takes them and drops them off at the house, and then the worst character in the movie, Harry Osborn like
catches the glimpse of Spider-Man and his dead father, looming over his dead father's body.
You killed him.
Yeah, immediately goes like, oh, you must have killed him.
Because that's what people do when they murder people, is they bring them back
They bring them back and gently lay them on their couch.
Well, I mean, I get not having context and being confused, but the fact that he immediately goes, Spider-Man murdered my father for no reason.
For no reason. Because I saw him and next to my dead dad. And conclusions.
Yes, because they've interacted so many times.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, now we're setting up, Spider-Man 2, Harry to be a villain and blah, blah, blah.
And then I forget this, but at the end, does MJ, so they're at, the gravesite of Ben, and that's the moment, MJ's like, it's always been you, I fucking love you, yes, Peter Parker, yes, eat my pussy, do it, yeah. And then Peter's like, you're a friend, though. You're just gonna be a friend. I'm gonna friend zone you instead.
I mean,
and then kisses her.
Yeah.
And then she's like, ugh. Does she realize that at that moment that he's Spider-Man? Is that the implication?
Yes.
Okay, because I was like, does she realize that, or is that just like, ooh, I just got the tingles because I kissed this man that I love?
No, I think the implication is that she realizes, or she has an inkling that's probably the Spider-Man.
She's like, I recognize these lips.
Because why else would this man who's been hiding from me since he was 6 to suddenly turn down these goodies?
Yeah, these Kirsten Dunst goodies.
Because but also it's like, he should have just turned her down because she's not a great human.
She's like, she's not that great of a person.
You can do better, Peter Parker.
like literally anybody else.
Yes. But then he goes off and to be the best Spider-Man he can be without being with MJ, so nobody will use her against him in the future, because that's what superheroes in the 90s and 2000s did.
Yeah, because they can't love and be superheroes because it's too complicated.
Yes. So, JJ, how would you rate the Sam Raimi 2002 Spider-Man?
Are we talking like out of 10, out of 5, out of 100?
Out of whatever you choose.
Out of ducks,
How many ducks would you give this movie?
I'm going to give this... I actually really enjoyed this movie the first time I saw it when I was but a child. And seeing it again, I think it really holds up very well. Maybe the CGI is a little hokey. Some of the... I think now that I'm older, I appreciate some of the campier like moments. I give this like a solid 4 quacks.
4 quacks.
4 quacks out of 5, I suppose.
4 to 5 quacks. I think that this was a really good start to superhero movies in general, as far as like launching a genre of films, because I think our only other reference at this point was X-Men, which also did very well.
Yes.
I think that it was a great, and it leaned more into the campy side than X-Men did. I think, let's see, my note says, while it hasn't quite held up, because the CG is super hokey, and like I said, it looks like a video game, like a modern computer video game. But like, as overall well, I was like, I can still understand why at that time it was revolutionary, because it was super groundbreaking in 2002 when it came out. For sure. And
this was like the shit back then.
I vividly remember seeing this movie in 2002 in theaters when I was 14 and thinking that this is the best thing that's ever happened in my life. And it has paved the way for us to have a entire, like, technically 2 universes of superhero movies.
For sure.
One of them is super spectacular and amazing, and the other one is the DCEU.
Shots fired. Bow.
Fight me. But overall, I think it was a great... it still is a fun movie. I didn't ever hit a moment where I was like, I wish this was over now.
No, I mean, we mentioned it before. It's just so well paced.
It is very well paced.
It's very well paced. You forget that it's like a almost 2-hour movie, but like it's like every moment is like has a purpose.
Let's see, and I think I would rate this. I think I'm also gonna go 4, but I'm gonna go 4 out of 5 superhuman spider bites.
Okay.
I greatly enjoyed this, so we're going to watch The Amazing Spider-Man.
This is Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man. Who was MJ? Emma Stone?
It was Gwen Stacy.
Oh, I
MJ's
see.
not in this.
I did not know.
Yeah. So we are going to watch Andrew Garfield.
Wait, that bitch dies?
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Oh, fuck. Oh, okay.
From what I read though, this Sam Raimi Spider-Man, before Sam Raimi took it over, like somebody else was going to direct it, and that's how they were going to start it. They were going to follow the Gwen Stacy storyline for this. Is. One of Spider-Man's girlfriends.
Neat.
So we're gonna watch Amazing Spider-Man, Andrew Garfield, and we're going to give our thoughts and opinions on Friday.
Yes, tune in next Friday when we do our deep dive into The Amazing Spider-Man.
So, if you have any fun facts or thoughts or opinions that you would like to share with us, because we forced our opinions on you, you can force yours on us, send us an email at nobodyaskoutopinion@gmail.com. Follow us on Instagram at nobodyaskoutopinion. You can follow us on YouTube if you choose not to listen to us on a podcasting network, but you want to listen to us on a YouTube network. We are Nobody Asked Our Opinion Podcast. You can follow me at Joey Snow, no W, at 2006.
And you can follow me at pianoman_05 on Instagram.
Follow our wonderful unpaid intern, Natalia, at The Creative Asset on Instagram. And a big thank you to Jonathan, our producer, who helps fact check us during our pod or offers our a good tidbit of information, usually when we're wrong, because we're wrong often.
So often.
So join us next week, and also join us on Wednesdays when we just talk about a bunch of random pop culture bullshit. Catch up on Drag Race and The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and talk about what's happening in the news and all sorts of fun shit.
Yeah. Because we funny.
Because we funny.
I think so.
So we look forward to you joining us next time.
Okay, bye!
Bye!